Incoming. Hey, welcome to From the Bunker, episode 11. I'm here with Ados Acktual, also on the Nasty Guard podcast. Yeah, if you just want to do a little quick intro since the last time we saw you, we know your background, but anything else you want to give us?
No, thanks for having me back. It's good to be back with the bros in the bunker. Not much going on here, just trying to survive the steam house that's the southeast United States during the summer. And football season's upon us, so good to go there.
Did you guys have a tropical storm right now?
Yeah, we had one that parked off the coast, and we got hella rain and wind for a few days, but it didn't do a whole lot where I'm at.
Okay, good. Netflix. It's like a couple weeks old, I think.
Oh, Land Bad or whatever, where the
Yeah. Did
JTAC
you see
ends up
that?
with the tier one dudes. Yeah, I laughed my
Uh-huh.
way through it.
Yeah. Like one of my coworkers uh, asked me about it today. They were like, "Do you see that movie?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you think? It's pretty good." I was like, "No."
Dude, one of my buddies watched it the other day, and I was like, "Did you catch the part where they substituted the Huey with a Black Hawk and then substituted it back to a Huey?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"No." And I sent him the clip, and I think they actually pulled a clip from Black Hawk Down of one of the inside footage of the UH-60, and I think they just like made it super dark so you couldn't tell.
Oh,
But I
that kind of
think they
makes sense.
ripped, yeah, I think they ripped some footage from Black Hawk Down and then just blacked it out to make it fit with nighttime.
I saw the Huey. I was like, "That's a wild choice." And then yes, I did think it was a Blackhawk, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Yeah, it was wild. And then like the whole premise of it, right? Like you're just some random tier 3, tier 2 JTAC, right? You're not even a CCT. You're a JTAC, and the tier 1 element's like, hey, we need you to tag along, pal. Like, I wish, right?
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out what they were. At first, I thought they were an ODA because it didn't say for a while. Like it like I was like, that's kind of weird. Like there's like what 4 dudes. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird. They just have like 4 dudes with like a JTAC attached to them. It's kind of odd. And then like you don't find out what they're supposed to be until like 15 minutes in, when they're in the woods, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of weird they attached a JTAC to tier 1. I was like, these dudes are supposed to be CAG. Is that what they're supposed to be?
Right,
Like
running around in the Philippines.
yeah, you get just 4 CAG dudes and a JTAC just bopping around the Philippines, like on this hunter-killer mission for this dude. Like, this seems kind of odd to me.
Yeah, that's how dope they are, man. That's how dope JTACs are. They can just tag in with anyone and be good to go.
Yeah, CAG tag, I get it.
Yep, yep.
So how are you doing? I tried to pull up a thing on your account, but did you get rid of your Instagram?
It deleted my profile picture because I had stayed logged out of it for a while, so it took my profile picture down for some reason. But I've kind of just been laying low and like going and traveling and stuff. So I spent like all last week in Atlanta with my brother, and we went to the Braves game, and he showed me around like his part of Atlanta. And I've just been, honestly, since college football game came out, that's what I've been doing. I've been playing so much NCAA football on Xbox.
Oh,
Um,
I get it. I understand.
yeah, it's so much. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I hadn't heard from Craig in a while. I hope he's doing good.
When's the last time you talked to him?
What is it? August right now? Probably March.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and he told me that he was commissioning and had finished that, and then he was about to start like the nursing license exam or whatever. And that was the last I heard from him. But like I see him hop on Xbox sometimes, and I'll see him like sign in. And I message him. I just don't get anything back. So I hope the homie's
Like,
good.
I mean, I think my friends probably think that about me because like they see my shit on probably Xbox, but I use it. I don't like play Xbox. I like play my PC and shit.
Right, right, right.
So like they'll probably see me get on Xbox, and all I'm doing is like logging into Netflix or something. So I have messages on there I haven't checked. It's been like years, so they're probably like, oh, I hope Hope he's doing okay. Like, hope he's alive.
With Quig, like it'll actually update and say what game he's playing. So it'll be like is
Oh,
now playing Formula One, and I'm like, what a nerd.
oh, yeah. Yeah, he does. Okay, that's fair. He does like big racing games. Probably is him. Probably not somebody else at his house.
I just assume that he's a lot um like everyone else, right? Like sometimes you just need a break and you don't feel very social and you don't feel like talking. So you just kind of like lay low for a while. And that's all good. Like everybody needs a mental health break.
Yeah, but it's been like 5 months.
Look, we can go raid his house, right?
You know I'm here for you. I'll do it. I don't give a shit.
Let's go raid his house
Just show up. Yeah.
live on
It's Bunker Bros and Ados here outside Nasty Guard.
no knock warrant. Bam.
That actually would be like that'd be a good podcast episode probably.
And be like, what are you guys doing here? You weren't
And
answering
then
our text messages anymore, dickhead. So we
he's
had to
not
make sure.
home, so we're just sitting in his kitchen, eating shit.
with with like his girlfriend there, like, who the fuck are you guys? Don't worry about it. You'll find out later.
I think she'd be probably pretty understanding.
For sure. For sure. Two random dudes showing up from random parts of the country to have a talk with your partner, your loved one. We
I
should put
think,
on like suits too, right? Like we're the FBI or something.
yeah, sunglasses and suits. That's all you need.
Yeah,
Go anywhere you want.
yeah. And then she'll have to call him and be like, "Babe, I think the fucking feds are here for you."
Yeah, they're eating all our food.
Damn, those aren't feds.
So, you guys, that last podcast you did was what? The one with the black rifle guy? That was the last one?
So that one was from 2021, 2022 time frame, and we just recycled it because it was such a good episode. Um, but I think literally the last one that we did was like April or September or September. Where the hell did that come from? April or May. Um, and I think we had like some Sergeant Major dude on there. I can't remember because sometimes it just went like in a blur because we would record like back to back to back days, and it was hard to
Hmm.
separate who was who. Um, but yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, I mean, you can always hop on with us. We've kind of slowed down a lot. Like I had M-Slick, and then I had another school I had to go to. And the boys, I know, like I'm in the process of moving, so like I have nothing in my apartment right now. Like I'm PCSing, so I have like nothing. This is it. My
Right.
computer and like this thing that I hide my freezer with, and that's it.
Dude, all I have
And
is
a dog.
like a TV, my bed, two camping chairs, and like a side table.
The one that you're sitting in right now, the camping chair.
Yeah, bro.
I love that. I like that meme where it's like women hate that men can be so simple. It's like a camping chair in front of a TV with like an Xbox, nothing else
Literally,
in the
bro.
room.
I had I had a date yesterday, and she ended up wanting to come back to the apartment, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. There's only two places for you to sit, and it's a camping chair or my bed. And I just want to go ahead and be upfront about that, so you think I'm like you don't think I'm trying to be sly when we get there or whatever. And she was like, "You're really okay with like just having a chair and a TV?" And it's like, "Yeah, what if you want me to spend money just to fill up empty space? That's stupid. Like, if all I need is a chair, then all I need is a chair. Like, if I feel like I want to take a nap, I'll go buy a futon, like, or go lay down in my bed. But a chair is a chair.
Yeah.
She's lucky it's not a painting bucket from Lowe's that I flipped upside down. you know?
So this is a weird thing that a lot of people aren't going to understand. Uh, Not having a chair to sit on.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
first world problem for sure.
that is a wild problem that I didn't see as a problem until my first deployment. And it's like you get so sick of just not having chairs.
Yeah,
Like there's no chairs. You just, oh, I'm in the desert for a year and I just have nowhere to sit. I'm gonna sit on the ground. There's
MRE
like no back
boxes.
support anywhere. Yeah, sit on an emery, no back support anywhere. So like you come home, you're like, I want a nice fucking chair. I just want a chair with a back, dude. I just want to sit down. put my back against something, but no body armor on.
During my first deployment, we everybody took their camping chairs over there, which was pretty ridiculous because it was like everyone decorated their chair in a specific way or whatever. So it was like a NASCAR race of chairs. You just had like a black and white one with a three on there, like Dale Earnhardt, and that was the country
Hell yeah.
dudes. And then I think mine had I had found a big 101st patch and put it on the back, but then drew a bunch of puke coming out of the chicken's mouth, and wrote chicken fuckers all over it. Um, but when I most noticed how terrible having a chair was the military, just being out in the field specifically. And when originally I was mechanized, and then I went from mechanized to a heavy company, so I was always in vehicles, and having somewhere to sit was literally never a problem. I just wanted somewhere to lay down. And then once I
Yeah.
went light, I wanted somewhere to sit because I could lay down all fucking day, but that gets boring.
Yep.
Um, so I went like half of my platoon had those little like $15 small camping stools that you could just strap right to the top of your ruck.
Like those try ones that like
Yep.
fold out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Everyone's got those like in their ruck.
Yep. Some people would have one that had like a little snack bag attached to it or something so they could hide some lickies and chewies in there. But yeah, and it was like a rule, bro, like don't leave your chair unattended. Like
Yep.
if you're not going to be sitting in it, you better go restrap it to your ruck because if not, like it's gonna grow legs.
Oh,
And if
100%.
someone that
Immediately.
outranks you takes your chair, it's not your chair until they're done with it.
Yeah. And like, so I don't know where that started, but like, you could be like probably a specialist and be fine just laying around all the time. But like once you start getting like those NCO positions, like right now, I would not let my dudes just see me like laying on the ground. Like
No,
I like like yeah, hey, the platoon sergeant just like laying on the ground in the corner.
he's taking a nap. Leave him alone.
Yeah, just like laying there, like not even on my phone, just like sitting, you know. Just
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think in my last unit, I don't remember ever seeing my platoon sergeant asleep or in any sort of like kick back, laid back posture in anything other than like sitting in our camping chairs for the NCO meetings, like before bed or whatever, to be like, all right, boys, here's what's going on. Other than that, like I never saw him, maybe even on the ground ever. Like I'm
you
running
lose
through it
that.
in my head, and it's like, damn, I don't think. Yeah, I never saw my platoon sergeant like do that, but like my squad leader, I did. But that's because I had to sleep like 7 feet away from him. So when he yelled at people, I'd be like, "Hey, all right, sorry, Dad."
You lose like the right to like any sort of comfortability, and like there's a lot of like young, especially like junior NCOs and like senior specialists don't really understand is like, yeah, you're gaining rake and you're gaining like that ability to kind of like float above some of the bullshit. Like you don't have duty anymore, which is cool, but like also you gain so much responsibility. Now you're
Yeah,
responsible for 36 dudes. Like everything about it. You got to know where their food's coming from. You got to know where their ammo's coming from. You got to know where they're sleeping, who belongs to who, what their problems are, how to solve those problems. And that's like not even counting what the company and the
mentoring a
battalion are
PL,
throwing
and
on you. Yeah, like,
yep.
oh yeah, don't even get me started, bro. Don't even get me started on that shit, dude.
I
that
they
that is
gave me
such
a
a
platoon, and
great line. Oh,
it wasn't. I only had it for like 3 or 4 months before I med boarded, and I didn't get to do any field work or anything with them, but like they put me in contact with my PL so I could text this dude who's like a brand new second lieutenant, fresh out of Ibolic and North Georgia University or whatever. Um, and I just told him, I was like, honestly, the two most valuable people in your platoon are going to be your platoon sergeant and your squad leaders. Like, those are the people that are going to be mentoring you. And it's not them sitting you down and saying, hey, this is what has to happen. You're just going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to open your eyes and see
yeah,
how things are done and just like learn from this stuff because I had to learn how to be a light infantryman because coming from mechanized and coming from heavy where you're in a Delta company, like you don't learn a lot of the ground pounding stuff. You're vehicular. You're moving around, and you learn herringbones and how to move on flanks with vehicles and stuff like that.
you're a
But
Bravo, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and so like the whole first part of my career was just that. I didn't. I didn't know anything about light infantry. Like I didn't sleep in a patrol base from infantry school in 2006 until 2016. I never slept like in an actual patrol base formation or anything like that because I was always in vehicles. So,
Hmm.
pretty easy wagon wheel to vehicles. But like you said, when you get promoted and you start getting these, obviously it comes with extra money and you get like fancier stuff on your chest, and now people have to
Hmm.
stand a certain way when they talk to you or whatever. But to me, E5 and E6 were the two hardest and most fulfilling positions for me in the Army because E5 forced me to have to be up before my dudes, asleep after my dudes. It taught me how to put them before me because that's the biggest thing you have to learn going from 4 to 5 is like it may be your team, but that's three other actual human beings and three other dudes. They're not just tools. They're not just privates for you to throw into, a smoke sesh or whatever. And then once you become a squad leader, now you've got hopefully a senior E5 who can help you, teach the young E5 how to do things. But to me, those were always the two hardest and most fulfilling ranks because you spend so much face time with your soldiers, which is rewarding, and you can like directly influence their training and performance. And then like you're the first line of helping them, right? Because I was always raised in the Army that my job's to make the next dude's jobs easier. So if I'm a 4, I'm trying to make the 5 jobs easier up the chain. So whatever I could cut out from getting to my squad leader, whatever I could cut out to getting to my platoon sergeant and up to the PL, like that to me, that's the epitome of leadership and what the NCO Corps is handling issues at the lowest level possible. So that way we could stay mission ready and focused on what we need to be focused on. So the platoon sergeant PL can focus on beans, bullets, and like the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah, and that's tough because especially now, and I'm sure it was getting there when you got out at the same time. Um, like senior NCOs is like they're hard to find now. Like
Yeah,
senior NCOs are like your weasel, typically it's the weasel and maybe one of the squad leaders, two of the squad leaders. The other ones are probably pretty fresh. But now it's like I have one senior, and I'm lucky. Like personally, I'm lucky as a platoon sergeant where like uh, three three out of my four are like combat vets. So like I got
right.
pretty lucky. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like I have a really strong NCO core, and that I'm like thankful for that because just like you were saying, like they take care of that dumb shit, but also they're trying to like learn how to be squad leaders still.
right.
So like yeah, they were fucking great senior fives, great senior team leaders, but now they got to learn how to be a six. My weasel has never been in a weapons before, so he's learning the weapons job, and he like he's doing a great job, and he's a combat vet, great dude, but like he's got a whole job to learn. So like I'm
Right.
still taking like a brunt of like our platoon operations and stuff like that. But yeah, getting like senior NCOs or like the even junior NCOs into that mindset where they got to be a part of the planning process and be a part of like the you make our job easier and
Right.
it's going to make everyone's job easier. It's like a whole separate mindset you got to get them into. Because I
Yeah.
remember being that five team leader. I'm just like, my team's good. I don't give a fuck about anything
Yep.
else.
Yep.
Like
Y'all need
now
us? Nope.
I
All
have,
right, we're out.
yeah, now I have 8 teams where I'm like, man, you guys are killing me.
Yeah. One of the things that I always wish that the Army would do that I think would help with the development of junior NCOs, specifically the team leader position, is I think you should have to serve as every spot, right? Like rifleman, automatic rifleman, and grenadier. Because one of the things that you have to do as a junior team leader, like one of the things that's going to be thrust on you immediately, whether you were prepared for it or not, is how to establish a support by fire, whether it's
Yeah,
local or whether it's a real thing. If you've never been a saw gunner or you never had a good team leader when you were a saw gunner, you don't know how to really do support by fire. And imagine a dude who's never, like you said, a guy who's never been in weapons is now your weapons squad leader. That's wild, right? Because like
hmm
that's your most senior NCO, which means he's probably served in the most different positions and capacities, but he still hasn't served in a weapons squad. Like that's wild to me, and I like to think if maybe at like BLC, or is it BLC? Yeah, BLC or
Yeah, yeah.
ALC, that honestly I would be a-okay with an infantry only BLC, or like a combat arms only BLC that was specifically for training E5 combat arms type shit. So I would make them go to the range and shoot 320 rounds. I'd make them go and set up a support by fire and teach them rates of fire, how to control them, how to do machine gun math. Because a lot of people don't understand, like, when the platoon sergeant PL and Weasel sit down to plan an assault or a raid, like, you look at the Weasel and say, hey, I need suppression for this long. And then the Weasel has to go, okay, well, I carry this many rounds cut up between two
Hmm.
guns, so I need to do this, this, this. It's a lot of math, and like it's something that you have to be very on top of your game when you're at the support by fire. Because if you forget and you're yelling like, okay, rapid three, and then both your gun teams are on the same thing, and now you're empty, like it. I think the one thing that the Army fails at, honestly, is better preparing E1 through E4s to become an E5. Specifically, I can't speak for other stuff, but specifically in the infantry, I've seen a lot of guys who've never carried a saw, who never carried a 203 or a 320, and now they're in charge of effectively using that weapon system or getting someone else to
Hmm.
do it. If you don't know how to employ it and what its capabilities are, you're not going to be able to use it to its fullest extent. And I don't think that you start learning that until you're actually like an E5. Because if you, like when I first came in, I was a rifleman for like 3 years. And then they threw a 203 on my thing and I was a grenadier all of a sudden. And then a couple of months later, I was a saw gunner. And then a couple of months later, I was a rifleman. Like it was a joke. Like it
Well,
just
it's a
can.
thought. It's a thought about it. I think that's what changed. So like as like a rifleman, like you don't have to put thought into it. You're just like, I
Yeah.
have to be here at this time to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm not fucked up.
I
That's it.
just shoot where
But
my
like as
team
a
leader shoots.
exactly like as a five or a six, you're getting that I have to be able to put these dudes in those places. And like I was lucky enough to be a weasel for a while, like leading up to our last deployment and up until like through the mobilization process until we got rid of our gun squads because we were going mounted. Like I was the weasel, so I got to learn that, and like thankful for that because now, like as a PSG, I can be like, okay, well, this is what I want our gun teams to do. Like
Right.
I've been a line squad leader and I've been a weapon squad leader, so I can do both, which is great. But you're right, I agree with you 100%. Like it needs to be taught. Like it does not get taught at all. Like AOC, they now have machine gun theory, which is cool and all. You're teaching grazing fire, you're teaching plunging fire, like you're teaching machine gun theory, but
Right.
you're not teaching them how to emplace machine guns at a support by fire.
Yeah.
You're
You're
not
not
teaching
teaching them
them
the
how to
execution.
choose a support by fire. You're not teaching them why they need to choose a support by fire.
I
So,
wish we'd have got, granted, I didn't finish ALC because I got hurt. So I made it like 10 days in. We had just finished land nav and the call for fire block whenever I got hurt and sent home. But when I looked on the training agenda and everything, there was, like you said, there was no how to actually occupy and establish a support by fire. But
well,
we
there's
did
not.
get like a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation on what grazing fire is and what plunging fire and
Yep.
enfilade is. But like you said, it's much more than just, okay, this is what has to happen. Because if you're looking at a map and need to pick out where to put a support by fire, like that comes down to the PO and the weasel. Like you, as a weasel, like, so I didn't, in Delta companies, we didn't have weapons squads, obviously, because you're a weapons company. So every platoon, every squad, everything has the same capabilities. So when I got to light, I was a maneuver team leader, and I thought I was really good at it. Like I really enjoyed being a maneuver team leader because that's what I pictured being a team leader in the infantry as. Like you're running and
Yeah,
gunning
that's
with your
the
boys.
infantry. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Um, and then right before we deployed, I got assigned a weapons squad. They did a draft so we could reorganize platoons and send one platoon with SF and then one platoon for BDoc. Um, and when they were reading it out, they were like, "You're going to weapons squad," and I was like, "What? No, absolutely the fuck not. I've done my time carrying machine guns. This shit is no. I'm not doing this shit." Um, and so I went to the squad leader, who I didn't really know at that time, but he's actually like one of my best friends now. And I was like, "Hey, Sergeant, look, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm unprepared for this. Like, do I know the 240? Yes. Do I know the 50 and the Mark 19? Yes, but I don't know how to employ them in a light infantry manner. Like, if you want to give me 4 vehicles and me take the boys out and give you a vehicular support by fire, I'm down. But if you want me to go like find a berm and do this shit on my own, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And he was like, "Look, man, I'll teach you and show you everything that I need you to know. The biggest thing that I need from you is just to remember you're not fucking maneuver anymore. Like, don't try to get up and run. Don't try to do any of this other shit. Like your whole existence right now is going to be just making you're a team leader for your gun team." So I was an AG. I was the only E5 in the squad, and he was like, "So you're my assistant Weasel, and you're my fucking gun one AG." And I spent a lot of time with him after we'd put the kids to bed. Just, hey man, can we pull out a map and you show me what like advantageous terrain looks like? Can you show me some footage or something of a training event and explain to me like what I need to do? Because we didn't our battalion did not do good at training us for our last deployment because they knew that we were going to be BDOC. So like in the 3 months that we trained up at Fort Stewart, we might have had 3 training events for a combined 7 days total. Um, we did exactly two
BDOC is
live
Base
fires.
Defense Operations Center. If
Yep.
you're listening and you don't know,
Yeah.
they
So
run the base and
security.
the security operations. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went from thinking I was going over there to do all this cool stuff to literally as soon as we landed, the entire chain of command comes to me and is like, "Sergeant Ados," and I was like, "Yeah, what? What the? Don't look at me like that. Like, what do you nerds want? You about to gangbang me? I've already been over here, all right? Like, you can't do this to me." And they were like, "You do this in the civilian world, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I do, this exact same thing for the Department of Energy back home." And they were like, "Really? So what we're hearing is," and I was like, "Oh no, please don't make me Sergeant of the Guard." And they were like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah. BDOC NCOIC." And I was like,
Oof.
"No, I'm just an
Oh,
E5. Don't do that to me." Um, but it was wild, and I had to spend a lot of time um, during the pre-deployment, literally just studying with my weasel and learning because like I was terrified of worst case scenario. Something happened over there and we got pushed up for QRF and we couldn't find my squad leader because he was doing one of his auxiliary duties. And now it's me and the squad going out there to set up a support by fire for SF or some shit. Like, I was okay. Look, this sounds bad, but I would rather fail a fucking PT test than I would to shit the bed on a live fire or a real deal exercise or real deal
oh,
mission.
100%. 100%, yes.
Like, I'll prepare myself and lose all the sleep in the world to study and know what I need to know, but I ain't gonna spend an extra 30 minutes going to run. It's just not gonna
No,
happen.
no.
The math doesn't math in my mind.
That's funny because like every infantry dude I know, minus the officers and a special one or two, is like, what's not cool? Cardio, and like everyone just
Yeah,
lifts all the time, and then they just suffer for that like twice a year thing,
yeah.
suffer through the 2 miles or whatever.
The crazy thing is like the APFT, now that I think about it, was not hard. Like in earlier in my career, I was like, man, this fucking sucks, dude. Like they got to think of a way that's better than 2 miles. Like I'm never gonna run 2 miles in combat. And factually speaking, I did never run 2 continuous miles in combat. Never.
No,
Maybe 2 total, but not 2 combined back to back, like
yeah,
consecutive.
definitely not running. Yeah, no,
Yeah, not at a sprint, like at PT type shit. And it used to be like if you failed the PT test, it was one of two things. You were out of shape or you were a fucking pussy. That was
yeah,
it. Because it used to just literally come down to could you gut out running for 15
yeah,
minutes?
yep,
That was it. 15 minutes was the golden standard because anything above that was failing and anything below that was just barely passing. So like if you were 17 to 30, 15 minutes was your window, dude. And then I think I hit 32 or whatever when you switch age groups and get a different time. And
hmm
my time had jumped up to like 1946 or some shit. And they were like, "Oh yeah, Sergeant, you're on a new grading scale." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What's my max time?" And they were like, 19. And I was like, Yes, dude, I was just
Walk this
strolling.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I was just strolling, just light jog the whole way, watching people fucking puke and die. And I'm like, man, it sucked to be 17 to 21,
You
dude.
you never took the ACFT, did you?
I did. I took it twice. I had to, you know how they sent everybody to the course to learn how to administer it, and then you had to take it.
Uh-huh.
So I did
Yeah.
that, and I took it, and I passed barely, like fucking barely. And then the next time I took it with recruiting, and it was basically the same thing. Like I did just enough to pass and not die.
And you did like that was back when they had like the black standard for infantry. They had the standards where it was
Yeah.
like gold, black. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that was actually a tough standard. And yeah, it's all gone now. I mean, now it's like I don't try. I just like show up and I bang it out. But you
I
don't
just
have
don't.
to like put effort into it, which makes no sense to me. I was like, you should be suffering, but I'm not suffering.
To me, like you should probably have different PT tests for different organizations. If Airborne has their own
Yeah,
PT, if SF has their own standard, if Regiment has their own standard, then like Combat Arms, specifically the infantry, should have its own
yeah.
standard, right? Because we do have to fall into the 12 miles in 3 hours or less type shit. But like specifically for PT, we should have like our own PT test because we are the group that spends the most time walking around with heavy shit on our back. And so a thing about fitness that a lot of younger dudes don't understand. I don't care if you're in shape to get to the objective. That's just the start. I need you to be in shape enough to get to the objective, have enough in the reserves to hit the objective, maintain your aggression, balance of action, speed, and all of that, and then follow up, exploit, or get off the fucking X. Whatever needs to happen that. But I need you to have that much fitness, not
Mm-hmm.
not 12-mile ruck fitness and then you flop for a couple hours. No, I need you to be
Mm-hmm.
able to dump your ruck at the ORP, get skinny and light real quick, and let's go hit this shit. And I need you to still be able to perform at a decent level. But all too often you'll do a live fire or a training exercise, and it's a five click infill, right? So you're not even walking far, maybe 3 miles, and by the time that you've hit the objective, you already got dudes dying. You already got fucking privates and NCOs who can't move anymore. They're like, okay, but in real world, what happens after that? We still have to either exploit that objective or we have to get the fuck away from it before we start getting counter-fired, like counter battery artillery and shit.
And that's a hard thing to teach or train on because the all the tests the army does is like they try to go for time, right? Because you don't want to spend a whole day doing like a fucking PT test or
Nope.
whatever. So they're always like, okay, well we have like the ACFT takes like a total of like 2 hours, but like that's not a mission. Like our missions are like 8, 10,
Yeah.
12 hours, 2 days, 3 days. So like, and I remember before the deployment, we went to JRTC. We had rotation like that summer or whatever. Anyone who's on a JRTC rotation knows it's like one of the worst things you'll ever do in the military. And we had a 12-hour ruck for 12 hours. We walked through the woods in the jungle in Louisiana for 12 hours. Nobody had ever done that before. Nobody in anyone we knew had ever done that before. And like nobody was ready for it. But like all of a sudden you have to do it, so you just do it. But like the army doesn't test you for stuff like that. It's like you find out then and there that
Yep.
you're gonna be able to do it or you're not gonna be able to do it. But that's like the closest you're gonna get to like training for like an actual mission overseas is like go walk for 12 hours with some shit on your back and a rifle under nods in pitch black in the swamp. That's as close as you're gonna get to like training for like a mission scenario. There's no other way to do it. ACFT is not going to tell me that you're mission ready. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's going to tell me if you can run for like a bit.
There was a deployment we were supposed to go on in like 12, 12 or 13, and we mobbed. We got all the way to Shelby and everything before they canked the deployment. And the day before we found out it was canceled, it was like our last training event, and they were like, okay, we're gonna hump 12 miles out to the range. We're gonna do a day shoot, a night shoot, and then we're gonna get trans back, right? Um, but it was closer to 20-mile movement to the fucking range. So we SP'd at like 09. We didn't get out of it was an all day walk, literally all fucking day in Mississippi. Um, all day walk. We finally get there. Like we lost a couple dudes from heat cats. We shoot. They fucked with us in between, so we weren't allowed to like rest. We were getting not really hazed, but like round robin push-ups, flutter kicks, like type shit like that. And then they were like, trans isn't coming, we've got to walk back. So we literally walked like 40 fucking miles in the span of like, I don't know, 48 hours or some shit. And it was fucking brutal. It was awful. And when we got back, there were a whole bunch of people that were like, fuck this, I don't want to be in the army anymore. But that was the closest I ever came to what it would feel like to have to do like a 10K offset infill, hit an objective, and then, nobody's coming to the X to pick you up anymore because of Black Hawk Down. So you got to walk out of there. Um, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Like there's a whole lot of tests to see if you can run. There's a whole lot of tests to see if you can do push-ups or throw a ball or do a pull-up. But there's no test to see like what your stamina actually is. Because like the
Yeah,
ACFT shows you that you're in shape for 30 minutes, but 30 minutes is the shortest firefight you might see, especially in like
yeah,
Afghanistan or like some of the places in Iraq. And like GWOT kind of ruined us in a way, right? Because we were commuting to war. We were fighting a war like no one else in history ever had. We were setting up a small city that, 3 or 4 square blocks, and then we were pushing out patrols, going and fighting the enemy wherever we found them, killing them where we found them, and then coming back. We didn't hold ground. We didn't exploit what we had just taken after we had fucking wiped people out. Like you were just kind of there, and that method of fighting and that method of warfare and the comfortability that comes with, well, all I have to do is go out and do it for a couple hours and then come back. Like that's not how it's really going to be. Like that's not how it's going to be if we're in an actual like
hmm
nasty conflict with a peer or a near peer or even a level below near peer. Like anybody above the technological prowess of the Taliban is going to give us problems, and especially if it's like maneuver warfare, because we've gotten so far away from it. Because in Afghanistan, we didn't practice maneuver warfare. It was non-kinetic, so everything was asymmetrical, small unit actions, coin, which was a pain in the ass. And that's counterinsurgency operations for anybody that doesn't know what coin stands for. Um, and coin is just a pain in the ass in the aspect of everything you do is a win or a loss, literally everything. So if you go and kill a bad guy, that's a plus. But guess what? That bad guy had kids, so now you just created another terrorist. Like
or
it was a
seven.
super, yeah, right. It was just a super weird way to do things. And one of my hopes for the army that I've been trying to keep in contact with friends that are still in and see is like, even when I joined the army in 2005, the army was worried about exactly 2 things. Number one was Iraq. They wanted to prepare us to go to Iraq and do whatever we needed to do as infantrymen in Iraq. Like we did a ton of convoy live fire at basic training. They don't even do that shit anymore. But we did a ton of convoy live fire, like the entire company in like 12 LMTVs facing out on each side, just going fucking ham with saws and M4s. Like that's what we trained for. Infantry school was honestly CQB and mount. That's all they gave a shit about. We didn't get taught
hmm
a lot of like true infantry skills as far as like the field craft and being good in the woods. All of ours was literally learned towards getting us ready for Iraq. But the other thing I remember still being taught a lot was how to fight Russia. Like we would literally still do JRTC packages or XETC packages or whatever, where we were training to fight a near peer. And those kind of things, like those JRTC rotations, were fucking insane. Did they suck? Yeah, they were fucking awful. But like the training value that I got a year afterwards, when I could actually sit down and process the method of the madness, and okay, yeah, I get it. You kept me on the move. You kept me hungry. You kept me fucking tired the entire time. I had to worry about drones. I had to worry about all of this other shit. And a lot of people are like, yeah, this is stupid. Just go watch YouTube right now. Tell me how stupid it is that you need to make overhead cover in your fighting position. Tell me how stupid it is that you don't need to have something breaking up your fucking outline. We're watching dudes get killed with $15 Walmart drones, dude. Like, that's what's crazy as an infantryman now is like, the whole game is changing, bro. Like you knew in CENTCOM when you went overseas that you were observed. Every time you went somewhere that you were observed. There's a difference between being observed and being ISR'd.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you're being ISR'd, they have a 10-digit grid on your ass and are watching you every fucking minute. They can call for fire on you at any second. They could park that drone in your fucking skull if they want to. But like in Afghanistan, it's just some dickhead on a mountain with a phone watching you. Maybe he blows you up, maybe he doesn't. But like being under observation now as an infantryman is way more scary, you know, because you used to have that feeling over there like, oh shit, somebody's watching. Like somebody's got eyes on us. Like you would feel it. Like you would know that like something just wasn't right. That's got to be 24/7 now, bro. It's got to be because like I watch a lot of the stuff that comes out of YouTube and all of that. And trench warfare is, I don't think anybody's ready for the reality of it until you get there. I think it seems shitty, right? But I think like everything else in the infantry, it's way shittier than it looks. But when they talk to those guys, they're like living like rats, bro. They have to live in like bunkers for 20 hours a day because there's so many drones flying around, and you know
Mm-hmm.
they had to evolve quickly and come up with like chicken wire and things that they could string up around their trenches to keep the drones from getting in and blowing them up. Like it's it's weird because like you know America historically we go to war every 11 to 13 years. We're technically still at war now, whether we want to admit it or not, and call a spade a spade. We're still killing lots of people in lots of different places around the world in the name of terrorism. But like sooner or later, we're about to have another like actual fucking conflict. And what are the chances that for the, what would this be, the third time in a row? No, like the fifth time in a row that we get some bullshit third world country to go shit on, right? Because we've Grenada, Panama, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq. That's who we've had to fight the last 5, 6 times. Imagine if we have to go against a second world country like Turkey or something like
So
that.
I think, well, first, yeah, you were talking about trench warfare and the drones and everything like that. Like I was watching a video earlier today. I think it was Funker or Northern Provisions, probably Northern Provisions, but they were saying like the so a couple days ago the Ukrainians had an incursion into Russia where they attacked in Kursk, and then now the Russians are counterattacking Kursk from within Russia, but the Russian media videotaped, sorry, live streamed the counterattack from the heart of Russia maneuvering towards the front line in Kursk. So their own media was broadcasting their position live the
Yeah,
entire time they were maneuvering, and that whole column got wiped out by artillery. So like the Ukrainians watched the media and just like wiped the column. And I just read the article, like it showed the column like 2 days ago, and I just saw the whole column got wiped this morning. I was like, okay, so not only are the bad guys trying to fuck you up, the the good guys
yeah,
slash your own
it's
media is also
OPSEC.
trying to kill you because yeah, they're too dumb to do it.
And you
But
know,
like
I
you were saying, like
always,
the so they just did the SJ Resolution 106 joint resolution to authorize the use of United States armed forces against the Islamic Republic of Iran for threatening national security. The United States to develop nuclear weapons, which say what you want about Iran, but probably a second, third world country that has first world technology. They also
yeah,
have the ability to deploy troops anywhere in the world. We
yep,
don't see it because they're not deploying troops on our doorstep, but they can maneuver troops anywhere in the world that they want. They have the ability to do so. I saw it in Syria. Everyone who's there is seeing it right now. Um, but we are on the doorstep of another war with a near peer slash peer force who has they have the balls, they have the nuts to do what we're not going to do. And that's scary because we have a recruiting deficit of like what 40% or some shit.
yeah,
But what scares me about this resolution, SJ Resolution 106, introduced to Senate, is that it only concerns the use and development of nuclear weapons. So we don't give a shit that Iran is killing U.S. soldiers.
As long as they're not
They
doing it with
killed,
nuclear weapons.
yeah, like so they killed like a contractor in Syria last year with a one-way. They wounded one of our guys at our installation last year, and they just wounded three more Americans in Iraq. In what was that? AJ? No,
I
Assad Air Base.
my old
So
unit.
like we don't give a shit as long as they're not using nuclear weapons. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, if Iran would have just started killing U.S. troops overseas, we'd have been like, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we
fuck
would
you
be
up.
parking every aircraft carrier we had right off their coast and just bombing them into submission. Like my old battalion's over there right now in CENTCOM. So like two companies are in the country you just mentioned, and one of them is QRF for the entire AO, and then another one has been in the
Mm-hmm.
news recently in the embassy in Iraq for shooting a civilian. I can't speak on any of that because, like, honest to God, like, I just don't know the actual facts. All I know is what was sent to me from people over there that was covered by news stories. But yeah, I mean, even in Afghanistan, 2009, 2010, we were pulling off Iranian identification off of dudes during BDAs. Um, I always look at it when it comes to Iran as like, look, we fought them in Battlefield 3, so it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen. We're going to have to pull out some Golan Heights 64 versus 64 1,000 ticket game. Like, it's that's super weird because like Iran's somebody that I've kind of always wanted to go to war with, right? Like they've always seemed like an enemy to the United States. They're right in between Iraq and Afghanistan, so like
Yeah, well, we should have finished it in the 90s,
yeah,
the first time. You know,
or just let Israel do
like
it for us.
reading. And if someone listening hasn't read this, go look up SJ 106 through the 118th Congress, and it's all published. Look at go halfway down the page, it says text, click on that, and it'll pull up the resolution. And there's 36 examples of Iran basically being like, hey, we want nuclear weapons, we're not going to listen to you, and we're going to attempt to build it anyway. So there's this thing, I don't want to get the name wrong. The International Atomic Energy Agency is responsible for testing for nuclear weapons and enrichment of uranium, and they won't let them in. So like it's like the whole thing, like you remember Saddam, and like, oh, Saddam won't let us into his fucking factories, blah blah blah. You
But even
remember
North
the
Korea let us in, right? Like North
yeah,
Korea let
like
us in a couple of years ago, and
yeah,
Iran is still saying no.
yeah. But so they
That's a
eventually
good
got
way to
in, and
have
they're
your
like,
scientists start having car wrecks.
they eventually got into it, and they said the Islamic Republic of Iran has enriched uranium to 83.7%. Weapons grade
Ooh,
is 90.
so they're close.
Yeah, but that was over a year ago. So, and this is all in this bill. It says we're in March 4th, 2024. Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium continues to increase, including the enriched up to 60%. The agency has lost continuity of knowledge about the production and inventory of centrifuges, rotors, and bellows, so they're hiding it. So they probably have it. They're trying to hide it, and
And
this
they're
is
not
saying that
exactly friends with us anymore since we smoke checked the leader of their entire military back in 2021 and was like, yeah, what the fuck are you going to do with
yeah,
that?
we've been trading blows with the Iranian threat network for the last 2 years. Like it doesn't make
We
and
literally
the
chopped off the
last
second biggest head of the snake, and Trump was like, yeah, we killed your fucking leader. Big whoop, want to fight about it? And it's like, okay, that's exactly what we should have said. Like, why did you let him go to Iraq, dipshit? If you don't want him to die,
yeah
keep him in Iranian
yeah.
airspace. Like, pretty simple.
So the last section in this says the president has authorized all necessary and appropriate force against the Islamic Republic of Iran. If the president determines that the Islamic Republic of Iran, one, is in the process of possessing a nuclear weapon that threatens the national security of the United States, or possesses uranium enriched to weapons grade level, a nuclear warhead, these are like separate things, weapons grade level,
Yeah.
comma, warhead, comma, the delivery vehicle capable of carrying a nuclear warhead that threatens the national security of the United States.
So an
So,
ICBM.
yeah, which they have two out of those three. So
Yeah.
it's saying this bill authorizes the president to go to war with Iran if one of three things is happening, and two of the three have already happened. So
I think they're probably just pussyfooting around it right now because of the election. They're probably like both sides are prepping whoever the candidate and like, hey, check this out. We might, you might have to be doing some shit with Iran here soon. Um,
yeah, it was
part of
introduced by
me,
Lindsey Graham,
oh yeah, part of me
South
just really
Carolina. Yeah,
wishes that we would just isolate for a while. You know what I mean? Like every base that we don't need overseas, close it and bring those people home. Like we've been at war for 20 something years and we lost a lot of friends, like a lot of people, a lot of brothers and sisters. Um, and I just don't want people dying anymore, man. Like I understand like it's war, right? Rule number one, people are gonna fucking die, but to me, like I'm a very much all in or all out kind of person. Like if we are going to be going around the world and mushroom stamping terrorists all over the world, like then let's do that, bro. Let's tell the world and the civilians and everybody else, like, hey, fuck you. This is exactly what it takes to keep us safe, and this is
yeah,
exactly what it takes. But you're gonna have to stomach some losses every now and then. Or we say, okay, we're pulling as much stuff back as we can, and we're going to take a second and we're going to fix the recruiting problem. We're going to fix if we're being honest, the issue with lethality that we have throughout the entire force, all four branches right now, um, and get back to doing like what the military needs to do, like what we're focused on. Like we're not supposed to be focused on DISCA. We're not supposed to be focused on counterinsurgency. Like we're meant to go take over fucking countries. We're meant to crush nations. We're meant to literally destroy enemies. Like bring us back and just let us train for that. Let us prep for that eventuality because the next fight's probably going to be nastier than the last one. People are going to die, but the better prepared we are, like I hate Navy SEALs, and I don't know if they created this saying or not, but the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in combat. Like I'm a big proponent of that. The more you can train and prepare yourself for a worst case scenario and all these eventualities, the better you will be prepared when they do hit you, and you'll be less likely to make mistakes. But it's just so weird that we have so many of these countries who are doing things that 10 years ago we'd have wiped them off the face of the earth for, and now they're getting away
yeah,
for it or getting away with it. And then it's like we look so bad on a global stage right now, like just what we allow to be shown to the world. Like when you have a presidential debate that turns into an argument over golf scores, and one of the people is just sitting there mouth breathing and you can't understand him, and he's supposed to be the most powerful person on the face of the planet. Like that's not a good look on a strength note, right? Like if the strongest country in the world, the best country in the world, and we have this dude up there who can't even stand up and deliver a 30-second coherent sentence. You know what I mean? Like I'm neither here nor there on politics. I don't endorse one candidate more than the other one. I do know that President Trump was very effective when it came to military stuff. He had a very, very pretty strict and no bullshit policy, which was like, we will fucking kill you. Right? And that to me, that's how it should be, right? Like you're the president. You tell somebody, okay, stop. If you don't stop, I'm about to stick the regiment up your ass or something. And if they don't, and you stick the regiment up their ass, at least you told them, right? You gave them a chance. But like for the past couple years, everything has been so fucking passive and so soft and so like there's times where I've been like thinking like hell yeah dude, here it comes, we're about to put the fucking 18th Airborne Corps um, on China's doorstep in Taiwan and be like, okay, if you really want these islands, come and get them. But like instead we're just like, oh no, China sent some submarines to Taiwan, so we're gonna pull a couple Navy ships away from there and go send them over by Russia. Like we're not acting like the biggest dog on the block anymore. And I think you either have to, speak softly and carry the big stick, like old Teddy said, or you have to just talk shit and carry the big stick. And we got really good at talking shit and carrying the big stick, and now we're not good at either.
yeah. It's frustrating, especially when you're overseas and it's just like a game of hiding and hiding. There's no seeking. It's just you're just hiding, in the bunkers trying to get it blown up, and then you're just hiding the next day trying to get it blown up, and like you never go seeking.
What
It's
was
dumb as shit.
frustrating to me was in my last deployment, 2019, 2020, is I was sitting there one day and we had biometrics at our ECP. So
Hmm.
you had to have an ID, you had to go through an X-ray so we could see everything that was on you. And then when we would scan your eye and everything like that. And they didn't tell me about a Shura that was going on. It was like a surprise Shura. They came and woke me up and yanked me out of bed and had me go verify all these people. One of these dudes, when we verified him, we had to immediately like jack him up and put him up against the wall because he had been to Guantanamo Bay 3 times. Not once, not twice, 3 fucking times. And all
Those are
three
rookie
of,
numbers. Got to
right,
pump those numbers up.
all 3 of those trips were from, because it tells you what they got captured
Hmm.
for, and all 3 of them, the dude was captured in the same area, Gardez Ghazni, and it was all for shooting at American forces. So I guess he was just smart enough to shoot, throw his shit down, and was lucky to not get waxed for being in the wrong place at the wrong time when these shits happened. But I immediately was like, hey, um, I'm no, I'm not letting this dude in there, and send me another security team because I don't exactly know what's happening. This isn't a good sign. And like the Task Force Southeast commander, who was a 1-star general and was also like the general of the base, came up there and was like, "Nah, this dude's good. You're gonna let him in." And I was like, "Absolutely not, sir." Like, and I literally got into like a 15-minute argument with a 1-star general as an E5, and I got the "this is not going to be good for your career" and all this kind of talk. And I was like, "Look, sir, honestly, I'll let the dude on base as long as you sign the duty log saying that you assume all responsibility for anything that goes wrong the second he steps on this base." And he was like, "Well, why would I do that?" And I was like, "Because the rules that you wrote for the task force BDOC say that's exactly what has to happen for this dude to come on the base." And he was like, "So you're going to use my own rules against me?" And I was like, "That's how rules work." Um,
Yeah.
and we let him on, but like as the dude was leaving, me and him were just exchanging like the worst looks. And it was like, if I gave that dude a knife, me and him could have got into it because it was just looking at each other and like you knew like he fucking hated me, I hated him, he knew who I was and I knew who he was, and like he knew I wasn't one of the nice dudes who was just going to be like, "Yeah, you're a good guy now." Bro, I wanted to fucking kill him so bad. Like I was actively plotting ways to find him and kill him. Like I wanted to like take one of my privates and have him fall down in front of him and his pistol fall out of his holster just so I could whack that motherfucker and be like, "He went for so and so's gun." But like it's just weird, man. Like we things were different back in the day. Like we actually hunted. You know what I mean? We didn't sit and wait for you to come to us. We didn't sit and wait for you to attack us so we could get a reverse azimuth and a poo sight and then go fucking get you. Like we were already out and about. And if you shot, we were on your ass like right then, right there. Um, it's just wild, we're not aggressive enough anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, especially like now that that general you mentioned is pretty much every officer that you come into contact with. It's just,
Homie is in
oh,
charge of the first Cav division now, the entire
there you
first
go.
Cav division.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
my best friend sent me who was my weasel Wally. He sent me a fucking message the other day, and it was Major General Admiral. His last name was Admiral, so it was always funny. He used to be 4ID division or like brigade commander or some shit. Um, but now he's in charge of like all first Cav, and I was like, thank God he didn't get an infantry division, bro. Thank God they just gave him like a retard Cav division with some infantry guys in it. Like I would have been so sad if he ended up taking over like third ID or the big red one or some shit. But like he ended up getting first Cav, so like thank God.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand there's some politics behind it, but it's like that's why nobody gives a shit. That's why we get attacked all the time because there's no consequences anymore.
Yep.
It's like letting your kid get away with whatever they want. It's like just gonna get worse and worse and worse until eventually you're like, okay, we have to do something about this, and we're at that point now.
But
Because
like what are all these movies on Hollywood about? Like in the past when we weren't at war, right? Like, sir, Indonesia has killed 5 American soldiers. What do we do about it? And the president's always like, we can't stand for this shit. Let's bomb the
Yeah.
fuck out of them. Right? And that's how it actually used to be. Now it's like you can go kidnap and murder a couple US civilians, and all you'll get is a letter from the State Department saying, like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you do it again. They're like, don't do it. And then we do it again.
I think I found an idea for next time I get bored. I'm gonna get some friends and get a boat, like a boat that's capable of traversing the ocean. Um, and then we're just gonna take all of our guns and we're just gonna go sail off the coast of like Somalia and like pirate countries, right? And we'll just play innocent, like, oh no, please don't come pirate us, Mr. Pirates. We don't have anything. And then when they get close, and we just,
You know that's literally a paid service, right? You know that exists.
yeah, but it's through Russia, and I'm not fucking funding
Yeah.
them. I'll start the American
I'm,
version. I
I'm
don't give
sure
a shit.
Russia's not the only ones who's like human hunting off the coast of Somalia. Like I'm sure.
But look, we could
I
get
think
in
it's
on this.
wild.
We could call it the Blue Cord Boat Tours, right? And you to come on the thing, you have to have a CIB, and if you don't, you have to pay like an extra $1,000 to get one.
$1,000 a day.
Yeah, $1,000 a day, plus bring your own weapon system and ammo for it, plus like ammo for the boat. We'll make a rule like nothing smaller than 5.56, so it's only got to be 5.56 or 308, and everybody has to bring your own combat load and some auxiliary ammo for the boat. So like it was a platoon thing, we'll disperse some ammo. You know, we'll stop first in Africa and pick up some fully automatic toys.
It blows my mind that you think you're a pirate, you think you're good at like taking boats and shit, and then here comes like this Russian yacht that's like, come take come take our boat,
Igor
and they're
and
just
his
hunting
six drunk
people.
homies with vodka with fucking AK 103s and Dragonovs and RPKs. Vladimir,
It's like a
look,
movie.
another boat has showed up.
Yeah, it's sort of like a movie, dude. But I know it's got to be sometime. It's got to be illegal of some
Dude,
kind.
we
Like I
should
don't
do
know.
it. Let's beat Black Rifle Coffee to it and make a movie where it's like a bunch of bro vets who are sailing around off the coast of Africa like hunting pirates. And we'll call it Captain Hook.
Yeah, Matt Best is writing up the script right now.
No, shut up. Don't say that. Don't summon him. He'll
Oh
hear
God, I
this
hear him.
idea. Yeah, he'll hear this. He's in my walls.
He's in my closet.
And then all of a sudden, like next thing you know, they're like Black Rifle Coffee Company introduces
Yeah.
Boats and Hose, a pirate story. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I would let them make the movie as long as I got a part in there as like Heather Lynn's boyfriend or whatever. I'd be alright with
So what do you think? What do you think we can do to solve this recruiting crisis?
that. So the problem with when I was in recruiting and why things got really, really wacky is it was COVID, right? So you didn't have face-to-face access to recruits a lot of times anymore. You couldn't go to schools. You couldn't go what we call area canvas, which is go to popular places in town with high foot traffic. So like Walmart, the mall, the farmers market, downtown, places where you will see recruiters that aren't at their office or at a school. That's area canvassing, and we couldn't do that because of COVID and all the health things. So the Army got really, really lazy and started trying to find ways of how can we entertain these kids and get them in without having to see them face to face. And that's when they started coming up with things like letting kids take the pie cat virtually, and then they promise they don't cheat on it. You know what I mean? But there's no fail safe to make sure that they're not cheating. They literally just click a button that's like, I'm not cheating. Um, the government kind of undercut one of the biggest recruiting marketing things, which was student loans. So one of the biggest reasons in successful pitches for recruiting was helping adults pay off their student loans. So you lost, let's say, a massive amount of 20 to 30-year-olds right there. As far as high school kids and stuff go, like there's so many scholarships and programs and grants now that going to school for free is not as hard as you think. But like these kids have also seen, let's say they're 18, so they've seen 20 years of war. We've been at war their entire life, you know. They've seen how willing our government is to not do the right thing sometimes. They saw how Afghanistan withdrawal lasted, and I don't think anybody agrees that that was how that should have played out and that it was successful. Um, and then there's not a lot of confidence in the American civilian government leadership right now. Like nobody likes most of our presidential candidates. And the military they see as a direct they see the military as like the right arm of the government, right? So you're a federal employee, you're the martial arm, the military arm of the government. So there's no war anymore. There's nothing that like drew us together as a country, kind of like 9/11. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I remember before 9/11, like I can remember brief pieces of like the Gulf War and stuff, but America was proud. We were celebrating that we had just beat the shit out of Iraq, you know, and put an end to Saddam Hussein. Um, After 9/11, everybody loved to be an American. Everybody had a flag. Everybody was wanting to do their part. Everyone wanted to do something to beat terrorism and make America great. And now things are just kind of selfish, I think, especially the younger generations are more focused on what can you do for me, right? Like JFK said back in the day, don't ask what we can do for you, ask what you can do for us. And that's a noble thought, but it's just unrealistic in today's culture. Like everything is I want it now. It's immediate gratification. And God, I don't want to sound like a boomer whenever I say this, but the younger generation just wasn't raised like we were. They weren't given the same values. Hard work isn't exactly something that they've had to get beat into them. Because, like me and you growing up, we didn't have all the technology for the first part of our lives, right? Like we actually had to use dictionaries and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kids now at 2, 3 years old have more technology in the palm of their hand with their iPad than we had to go to the moon. Like that's fucking crazy. And like instead of and another thing is like the military used to crush people for being wrong in uniform. I watched people literally get crushed in my early in my career for being caught off post in uniform. I can't turn on TikTok. I can't even open a Google on my phone without some silly fucking soldier doing a dance or some TikTok trend or some shit in uniform. Like it looks like it's a joke. You know, it looks like it's a fucking game. They're trying to make the military seem like it's a social club and not a warfighting organization. You know, like we don't need to be recruiting people who think the army's a fucking game and that it's a party and they're going to be able to do all this social media shit. No, we need to we need people who are going to be invested. So when shit gets bad, they understand like, yeah, I'm in the army. I'm going to go to fucking war. I think the only way
Yeah.
to fix it is to get back to you're going to have to offer people money, right? That's always the biggest thing. People will do stupid shit for money.
See, I don't think you do.
Really?
I think no. I think you hit it on the head when you said it just a little bit ago. The people used to know what the job was,
Yep.
and we used to do that job, and I don't think we do that job anymore. Um, no one trusts the feds anymore,
Which means they don't
and
trust
not like
us.
yeah, they don't trust us, but even we don't trust the feds. So
Right.
like, so why would they join? So it doesn't make any sense because like now they're getting paid minimum wage, less than minimum wage, to go overseas to do absolutely nothing and almost die, and you can't do anything about it. So like you're getting paid to go not do anything while somebody else tries to kill you,
Yeah,
and you're
you're
not allowed
bait.
to do anything about it. And on top of that, they sold to the wrong crowd. They did what Bud Light did.
Yep.
Like Bud Light, you made what you thought was a progressive ad. I get it. Like you did what you thought was the right thing. You didn't know your base. Your
Nope.
base is that country hillbilly redneck white boy that can't afford
SEC states.
non-domestic beer. You know what I'm saying? Like that was your base, and you went 1,000% against it, and you lost.
Yeah, they
That's
made
on
a.
you for not under. Yeah, that's on you for not understanding your base, bro. The Army's base is the same. It's like those backwoods boys, those
Yep.
city guys who like to talk shit, and they got they
Middle
were big on
class,
the
lower class.
playground, and yeah, once they're done in high school, it's like, well, what am I gonna do with my life now? I hate numbers. I don't like finance. I don't want to be a doctor. Like, what am I
Yep.
gonna do? I don't have any money, so like that was your base, and now you're trying to sell like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. No shit, you lost
Yeah.
$11 million on Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody who wants to join the military gives a shit about Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Who cares,
And then
man?
like they're doing this. I don't know if it's a joke or not, right? Because you always see it in memes, but you keep seeing so many like pretty attractive and pretty popular females with like big followings making like lots of military videos, and part of me thinks that like for real is a psyop. Like all jokes aside, like I know a lot of people every time they see like Haley Luhan or War Hamster, which War Hamster, if you're listening to this, I've got a wedding ring waiting for you whenever you're ready, by the way. Um, you just let me know. But like they'll see these people and they're like psyop, 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 and then I think about it and it's like I get it because at 17 to 20 years old, what's a good way to get you to go do something to show you that this place has some baddies, some cute chicks, and especially if these chicks act like they like military dudes, like. And it's crazy because if you think about it specifically with like those two, right? They're always wearing like high cuts with all this cool gear and stuff. Where are they getting it? Where are they getting it?
I mean, yeah, but once again, that's not your base, bro.
It's
Like
not.
you're pitching to the wrong crowd. The guys you want is not there because people like me, people like you, people like the guys I served with in the last 3 deployments, like those dudes are the ones who are going to stay in.
Yep.
Those dudes are the ones who are going to fight the wars, are the ones who are going to stay in, the ones who are going to be your NCOs, are going to be ones that are going to be good officers, good senior NCOs, and you're pitching uh, Kawhi like screen time with
Yeah.
Lou John or whatever, and you lost. You lost the bet. That's what happened. That's why you're down 40% because you lost your bet. Now, hedge your bets on the dudes who are going to win your wars, and maybe you'll go back to better recruiting. Because not only you're losing the guys that you should be recruiting, you're losing the people who realize it was a lie because they joined and they're like, man, not every girl here looks like fucking Haley Luan.
Yeah. They
You know what I'm
realize that
saying?
99.9% of them look like fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah, like you lied to the people that you targeted, and the people you didn't target who you should have been targeting are like, man, I don't want to be in a military that acts like this because we're not winning wars. You're not doing shit.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
then
that's why you suck at recruiting.
another thing is like social media is good and bad for the military. It's amazing because it can show some of the training things and cool stuff that we get to do, but it's also really bad whenever you've got pages who are showing just how bad some of the barracks are, who are showing just how bad some of the chow is, who are showing just how shit on you are in the military sometimes, while also getting to see video clips of an army major who went from male to female and had it all paid for by the army. Let me go ahead and say this. The United States military should not be fucking paying for you to change genders or sexes. Whatever you fucking enlisted as is whatever you declared yourself, and that's what you should be fucking held accountable for. You want to go and get the reassignment and all that other bullshit? Get out of the fucking military. Period. Just get out. The military shouldn't be paying for that to happen. They shouldn't be paying for the rehab for it. None of that shit. If that's what matters more to you than the United States military, your unit, your brothers, your sisters, the mission, then you don't fucking belong there. You don't. Like, one of the things that used to confuse the shit out of me all the time is right before deployment, people would be like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to go. Motherfucker, you joined the United States Army Infantry
Yeah,
during a
what'd you sign up
time
for,
of
bro?
war, dickhead. Like, we're literally at war with like 70 different countries right now. Like, what do you mean you didn't think this would happen? What did you think? They get mad because, oh, this isn't what I joined for or whatever. Like, and it takes all types and shit, and I understand that. But fuck, dude, like, I want the dude who wants to be there with me, right? And it's the same thing with the draft. Like, oh God, what if we end up getting into a near peer and we have to, have the draft? And like I've said this from day one, I would rather have somebody who wants to be there, who signed up to be infantry, who's willing to go through that stuff, than some dude who got picked up off the street because he was poor and now he's an infantry dude and he didn't have a choice. You know, like, because at the end of the day, you know as well as I do that when the shit gets hard, when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're scared, when everything else is stacked against you, the some of the only things that you have to keep you alive and to keep you safe are those people next to you. And if that dude's not as invested as you are, or he only joined for college and he's not he's not a soldier, he doesn't want to be a soldier, this is just a means to an end for him, that's not the dude I want in the foxhole. It's not. I want somebody like you who's willing to go like, okay, no, this is it. We're in the fucking hole. We're not leaving this hole no matter what. All right, bro, good luck. Let's get it. I don't want the dude who's like, all right, man, I'm out of here. All right, I'll see you later. No, fuck you, dude. Leave your magazines at least, you dickhead. Like, you're right. We started going after the wrong people. We started getting away from like those blue collar, hardworking, good old boys, the kids from the streets who barely pass school, but like they've got street smarts and they've got the aggression and the fitness and they've got the alpha male mentality and everything that they need. The women who want to be respected and treated as peers and equals and not like some fucking sideshow to the military. Like the military probably, like you said, created its own problem whenever it thought that its brand was woke. It's
Yeah,
not. The brand of the United States military is and should always be war fighting, destroying nations, and kicking ass. That's it. That's literally it. But whenever you start turning it into, well, we're allies for LGBTQ, maybe whatever the fuck, right? Like, I don't give a fuck what you sleep with or what you don't. Literally, I don't care what's in your pants or what's not. I care about your ability to get to the target to fight and to follow on if we have to do something else. I care if you're in shape, and I care if I can trust you when shit gets stupid. I don't care what your religion or any of that other stuff is, but the army almost force feeds it to you now and makes you deal with it. Back in the day, it used to be like, if you're gay, nobody cares. Literally, just shut the fuck up.
yep. That was like the wild thing though. Like when I joined, like basic was probably the biggest exposure I had to people of like different races, different ethnicities, different religions, and I was like, this is
Yeah.
wild. But like everyone got along, everyone was on the same page, and like nobody treated anybody different. Nobody gave a shit. So like the army had it,
Yep.
and then they just tried to refine it into something that it shouldn't be. And I don't know where they really went wrong in that, but like we were doing good, and then they tried to fuck with it,
Well,
and then
they
they
stopped
like it
telling
went
everyone that they
downhill
were
and downhill and
green.
downhill.
You know, we were all green at basic
Yeah,
training. There was no black, white, Mexican. You know, you were fucking green. You were dark green. You were light green. You were fucking tan green, whatever. But you were green. Everyone was the same, equally fucking worthless, right? Like when the military treated literally everyone the same. You're fucking useless.
yeah,
You're just a tool. And as bad as it is for your mental health, I enjoyed that because I understood the game. It's a means to an end until I get some rank, until I get some badges and tabs and have some sort of worth to keep me around. I'm just a tool in the machine, but that's kind of what the military is about, right? You can make your own way. You can be the laziest troop you want to be, or you can be the fucking most squared away troop you want to be, but they gave you that option. You want to go to Ranger school? Go. You want to go to Air Assault school? Go. If you don't, don't. But like the military used to be competitive. It used to be everyone was competing to get the schools, the training, the deployment, the everything they needed to get to the next level so they could be more effective at that level or more effective at the level they are now. Now dudes are like, oh, I need to get my college degree while I'm in during these 4 years so that way I'm not knocking it. It's a good idea, right? Like I'm all for it. Knock out whatever you can while you're in the military so you're better set up for the civilian world. I advocate for that. But back in the day, man, it used to just be like, what can you do? What did you do for the army today? It wasn't what can you do tomorrow. It wasn't what did you do yesterday. They didn't give a fuck about that. They only cared about what you did for them that day. You either did good, you either did bad, or they just didn't notice. But like the army started caring about feelings. The army started caring about how they talk to you. The army started caring about explaining things a tad bit too much, like making you feel like the army just tried to be too soft. the army's not supposed to be soft. You know what I mean? Like the military's not supposed to be soft. It's not supposed to be super emotional and super intellectual. There's certain parts of the military for that. If you're highly intellectual and you don't want to do physical things, then go intel. You know, go get one of those STEM fields or go medical or something. But like, I don't know. Kids are also hella stupid now too, dude. Like when I was in recruiting, I would go get kids who were in like AP English and they make like a 17 on the fucking ASVAB, and I'm like, how the fuck? Like I could get drunk right now and go take the ASVAB and still pass it, and I haven't looked at the test in like 20 years. It's weird because like I don't, as a first world country, I don't like conscription, right? Like, I think what made the American military as good as we are and as great as we are is the ability to operate as a volunteer only military. Um, Granted, the times where we have had to institute the draft, it's paid off. You know, like World War II, we drafted a shit ton of people and we won. Vietnam, we drafted a shit ton of people and we just didn't have the right recipe for success there. But you know, the draft still did what it was supposed to do. Bro, there's so many fat people now that it's like one of the things from the Department of Defense that's the biggest threat to national security is the fitness level of the average American, because we're fat and lazy. Like the average American is fat and lazy. So if they go to draft people, we don't have nearly as many combat ready bodies to just throw into a war because we have fat fucking My Little Pony kids running around with blue hair and shit thinking that they're still special at 20 because their mommy told them at 4.
I think it'll catch up to us eventually. I don't really understand the army and their outlook. Like I know they do lots of studies that probably do nothing. We spend a lot of money on things we probably
Yep.
shouldn't, like hiring movie stars
Rappers.
to boast for the army for no fucking reason. Like,
If we're gonna spend all that money, make
uh,
good commercials like we used to make back in the 2000s. Like the Navy used to have this really badass commercial that was a Godsmack song, and it started off with like a black screen, and then it showed this aircraft carrier hauling ass, and then it showed like Navy SEALs, and then it showed them launching aircraft off of a deck, and then like
yeah.
shit like that, right? Like,
Well, even the Marines still have great
yeah,
commercials. The Marines have great
the
commercials,
Army's
and
this
they don't do any
stupid,
of
man.
that shit in the
Yeah, no,
commercial,
fuck, man.
but they have a great
It's the
commercial.
same thing for the National Guard. Like every time we used a commercial, it was always dudes that were like fast roping out of helicopters to go rescue civilians. I have never once rode in a fucking helicopter during a during a hurricane, and I live in a place where we get activated for hurricanes all the fucking time. And I never did hurricane rescue or anything. It's they have to get in touch with what the current generation needs to be incentivized to get in, and like we both agreed on it, you're looking for a certain type of person. You're looking for a certain type of personality. You're looking for a certain type of upbringing. You know what I mean? And if you're not facilitating that, you know, it's not going to work out very great because you're going after the wrong crowd. Or like we're recruiting
Well, they were
bronies
looking at
now.
like plain and simple. They were going quantity over quality. That's what they're doing, and it smacked them in the face. They're like, okay, well, this is what the average American is into, so we just have to pitch it. No, because the average American that you want, it doesn't give any shits about any of
No,
that.
not at all.
It, the dude growing up that wants to join the military is not going to join the military because you put "Hey Lujan" on a fucking
Right.
poster on some kid's barracks wall. He's going to join the military because he wants to. The problem is you're making it stupid for him to join the military. Like he looks at it now and he's like, well, it's not what it used to be. It's just a bunch of people sitting around not able to do shit,
Making TikToks.
getting getting PowerPoints on how not to hurt each other and like how to treat each other instead of like war fighting, which I get we have a problem with a lot of stuff in the army, but you don't fix those problems by going outside and trying to fix them. You fix them from the inside. And once again, the army always does it. They overcorrected, and now we're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy times that we're living in.
yeah, so bring it, China.
Bring it on. I'll unretire for an invasion.
All right, we're at hour and a half. We got to call it.
Works for me, buddy.
All right, but we do have to do an intro real quick because we didn't
All
do
right.
that. All right, I'm gonna stop it, and then we're gonna restart. All right, Ados, thanks for joining us, and thanks everybody for listening. We will see you next time for episode 12.
Incoming, incoming, incoming.